So today we're going to go into the Pleiadian Chakra, otherwise known as the Soul Star Chakra. So this is the 8th chakra. This chakra is located directly above your crown chakra. It looks like a North Star. It's often referred to as the North Star because it in fact is your North Star. It is your primary intuition. It is the light in your field connected to your higher self, your higher knowing, your reservoir of truth. When we sync up with source energy that we all extend from, our 8th chakras are most activated. Now, one of the misconceptions about the 8th chakra is that it is only for out-of-body travel, for clairvoyance or esoteric practices, when in actuality, when I look at a person who has an activated 8th chakra, they are usually very much activated in who they truly are, very much in their purpose, aligned with their passion in life. You know, if they are an incredible tennis player and, you know, they are doing a match at Wimbledon, they will often have an activated 8th chakra. And you will see these individuals, they illuminate their brighter auras. So, of course, we talk a lot about auras. We all have different aura colors that correspond to different personality traits or ways of operating our sensibilities. However, when I see the 8th chakra activated in a person, it tends to illuminate the other colors in their field as well. They just seem to shine brighter. The light of wisdom, right? The light of influence as well. This is also referred to as. So, you know, one of the common misconceptions again is that the Soul Star Chakra is only it's only used for metaphysical purposes. When truth be told, you know, the 8th chakra corresponds to your passion in life, your truth. How aligned with your truth are you? How authentic are you in your life? Have you carved out a life that represents your true nature, your true sensibility, where you're honoring your own joys and freedom and desires in life, right? So people who have like really found peace in their life, they usually will have an 8th chakra, and this is also known as a bridge, and it will shine as a silvery white color when you look into the field. So obviously these are different dimensional layers of the auric field. Now there are many different dimensions of the auric field. The most common one that many people can see are the primary aura colors. For example, my primary aura color is indigo, secondary violet. So when the 8th chakra is activated, it will illuminate the color of the indigo brighter, the color of the violet brighter. And an activated 8th chakra actually opens and balances your other chakras as well. So if you are able to actually activate that 8th chakra, it does do a lot of work because the 8th chakra is tuned into your higher consciousness, and consciousness is what unblocks our energy. And our energy can get blocked in different chakras that correspond to different themes, your heart chakra, your solar plexus chakra, your root chakra. All of these chakras, these energy vortices, have the capacity to be blocked, and what really unblocks them is consciousness. When you invite consciousness to the emotional part of your field, that is causing that block, because our thoughts are what dictate our energy. So whenever there is a blockage in the field, you will find the most skilled energy workers will do a couple counseling exercises with you, because there is an understanding that that practitioner does not have the ability to unblock you. Only you have the ability to unblock you. They have the ability to influence you into a place where you can unlock yourself, but your thoughts dictate your vibration, not the other way around. You create your own reality. You don't create their reality. This is law of attraction. So because of this, the 8th chakra is also known as the seat of the soul. and it relies on your other chakras being balanced as well in order to sustain its activation. Now, there are a couple different ways that we can jumpstart that activation process and install consciousness. Okay, but the first and most important way to understand how to open the 8th chakra is by raising your vibration, because when you raise your vibration, you're more a vibrational match to higher vibrational solutions that will clear your energy field, that will clear blocks, and that will allow that 8th chakra to, one, be open, and two, sustain itself. So it's important to know, again, anything that makes you feel better is a way of activating that chakra more. So if you are a musician, the most beautiful musicians that just look totally consumed by the music in a beautiful, blissful way, it almost just seems like they are floating, you know, they're just soaring, and you can feel that, and you can almost feel the radiation off of them of light. That is an individual who has an 8th chakra activated. This is when you sync up with instincts in a really powerful way. When you are in the zone, right? When a tennis player hits an ace, and then another ace, and then another winner, right? When a singer spontaneously riffs some high notes just off the cuff. Activated 8th chakras. Okay, the Soul Star Chakra is very, very powerful in this way. And yeah, you know, when you see these miracles occur in people, and when you witness that, the reason why it feels so powerful is because that 8th chakra is activated, syncing them up with source energy that they are extensions of. We are all extensions of source energy. So we all have the ability to plug into that leverage and use it for our purpose. So the 8th chakra very much does concern life purpose as well. Now, there are lots of different tools, right, to assist with activating the 8th chakra, right? But all of these things are important to understand first, right? The 8th chakra is sustained by consciousness. So again, to understand the 8th chakra, you have to understand the distinction between your consciousness and your ego. So there are so many great teachers of ego over the course of time. Some of the more recent ones, Eckhart Tolle has a great book called A New Earth, and also The Power of Now. A Course in Miracles is a great teaching of the ego as well. And what we understand with the ego, and what the 8th chakra understands about the ego, is you are not your ego. So you are not the part of you that is constantly thinking on overdrive, trying to establish techniques to heal or undo trauma. These are all the ego's strategies of healing itself. The ego cannot heal the self. Consciousness heals you, not the ego. So the 8th chakra knows this. The 8th chakra is that part of you that has that eternal knowing, that higher wisdom, that, you know, maybe things will always be okay, right? The 8th chakra is the part of you that, you know, even though our ego may get upset when somebody passes away, the 8th chakra is a part of you that knows this is not really the end. Okay, their soul is continuous, but you're still, right, consumed by your ego's emotional reaction, right? Your ego's grief, your ego's emotions, right? So the 8th chakra understands that those emotions aren't real. The only feelings that are real are the feelings that this higher self feels through you. The consciousness that your 8th chakra is tuned into, that is the only thing that is real. So there's almost like you have two minds, right? The mind of the ego that flows with a certain stream of thoughts, and there's another frequency of thought, right? Your higher knowing, your stream of wisdom. That is your 8th chakra, right? That is the Soul Star Chakra. And when that is, again, activated, it has a sense of wholeness it brings to a human being. Love, truth, consciousness, right? So some of the ways that we can assist that consciousness, or there are tools that can raise vibration. It won't necessarily sustain it, but it can help build momentum around those frequencies to assist in that, okay? So I'm going to list off just a couple crystals and also plant medicines, or just plants in general, that vibrate at frequencies that can help open the 8th chakra, okay? Selenite, celestite, angelite, oconite, indigo kyanite, danbarite, shaman dreamstone, phenakite, apophyllite, and some of the plants that can really assist in the opening of the 8th chakra include ayahuasca, sandalwood, magnolia, star of Bethlehem flower, cypress, salvia, and each of us have a spirit plant as well. So there is a plant that corresponds to your frequency better than any other plant. That will be your greatest tool in terms of using a plant to help open the 8th chakra. So if you know your spirit plant, this can greatly assist in that. It's usually the plant that you're most guided to, that you feel most drawn to, that you feel most healing for most things, that you can use for multi-purposes, that you've always gravitated toward, that makes you feel good. So, and you can also understand this more through meditation as well. So cannot talk enough about meditation in relation to opening the 8th chakra. That is all you need to do. If you have a meditative practice, that is strengthening your 8th chakra, right? And strengthening your 8th chakra essentially is about strengthening your faith. So we have a very manual way of doing things as human beings, even a manual way of healing in psychotherapy offices, medication. Not saying all of these things are wrong. Sometimes your intuition will guide you to those easiest paths of healing, most effective paths of healing. And your inner, and it's really our egos that have trouble with accepting that there are many different ways of healing, right? The ego thinks in black and white terms. Pharmaceuticals are bad, natural is good, homeopathic is good, allopathic is bad, right? Now, the 8th chakra, that higher wisdom, understands that it is a balance and that we have an infinite set of resources here on this planet to use at our disposal to help us establish alignment. And why would we eliminate some of those resources without exploring if it can be good for you? Maybe it's not, but it's up to us to determine that, right? And your 8th chakra is the wisdom that understands this. Your 8th chakra is the aspect of you that understands it doesn't have to be manual mode, right? In order to heal or to do things in life. The 8th chakra understands that there is a path of least resistance, as it's referred to as, right? That your 8th chakra knows that your life is about not undoing trauma. It is about gauging where your trauma is and strategically and intuitively guiding you around that trauma and around that difficult path to your ideal self, to your true self. And that healing is a byproduct of a shift in perception. Your 8th chakra understands that everything that has ever happened to you, both good and bad, are a part of the grand puzzle of who you truly are, and knows the path, the easiest path, the path of most ease to your most ideal and optimal self. So it knows where your trauma is, it knows where your triggers are, and knows how to strategically guide you around those into the easiest path into consciousness. And it understands that once you access that consciousness has a reference to understand and unpack and untangle all of the themes of your trauma from your life growing up. So it's consciousness that heals trauma. It is a shift in perception that heals trauma. It's not the ego's methods of fixing or healing or putting band-aids over or dissociating. Your 8th chakra is the most wise part of you that knows life will naturally invite you into places that will invite healing. Your 8th chakra knows that you are an extension of light, that you are made of light. So some of the phrases that an inactive soul chakra will think is, quote unquote, my loved ones have passed away, therefore they are gone forever, they are dust in the ground. They don't believe, right? They don't have faith, right? Somebody who has an inactive 8th chakra thinks that they are only physical, and after the physical, right, expires, there is nothing else, right? That's what someone who does not have an active soul star chakra thinks. They think things like, I had a lot of trauma as a child, therefore I will never be happy in life. It thinks the ego can heal the ego. Someone with an inactive soul chakra thinks they can reason with the ego or negotiate with the ego in order to create lasting change in their lives. People with an inactive soul star chakra, fixing mentality as opposed to a sense of trust and knowing that they are an extension of light and that they will always be guided to the path of healing by virtue of being synced up with their stream of source energy. They tend to take the manual approach of healing as opposed to the automatic approach of following signs and synchronicities that raise your vibration and provide perspective to disarm the trauma. The soul star chakra understands that trauma is perceptual. It knows if you shift your perception, you can disarm your trauma entirely. Think of times in your life you thought that certain events were traumatic to you, and then think back to much later in life and how it was quite maybe even funny to think about that instance that was previously so traumatic to you. Now you're laughing about it. That shift in perception, the shift of a thought, is what heals trauma. So really, in conclusion, the soul star chakra is really about understanding the ego. So if you want to sustain an 8th chakra, I would invite you to start doing more research or understanding about the ego, because if you can understand that, that is what elevates consciousness, and what elevates consciousness will activate your 8th chakra. You will find yourself meditating more, sitting with yourself, doing breathing exercises. You can do breath work as well. Breath work is very powerful because when your breathing is not even, it is a symptom of your lack of light. It is a symptom of you being in resistance to your light energy, to your life force energy. It is a symptom of you not wanting to be here in the world. So when your breathing is shallow, what's interesting is you cannot think a negative thought while your breathing is even and full and consistent. In order to entertain negative thinking, you have to make your breathing shallow. You have to slow down your breath in order to entertain any negative thinking. So it really goes to show that negative thinking is truly out of our nature. It is not who we are. And that is why it is natural to sort of couple consistent, full breathing with activating the 8th chakra as well as your other chakras, because as we said, the 8th chakra being activated does open up your other chakras as well, and actually needs those chakras to be open in order to sustain that 8th chakra. Atheists will often have inactive soul star chakras, actually most of the time. Atheists or nihilists. What's interesting is scientists often will have an inactive 8th chakra, depends on what type of science they do and who is funding their science as well. But not all the time, because as we said, the 8th chakra corresponds to your life purpose. So if somebody's life purpose is to be studied in science, and to be that sort of academic and to pursue their passions through that way, they will have an active 8th chakra, and they will find themselves being pulled by the intuition of that 8th chakra and inviting consciousness into their practice or other modalities, you know, to assist with the sort of allopathic way that they may have been trained in school. The 8th chakra, of course, corresponds to things like astral projection as well, remote viewing as well, clairvoyance, and most importantly, claircognizance, which is clear knowing in Latin. Clairvoyance is clear seeing, claircognizance is clear knowing, which is just a sense of knowing, you know, when you just kind of know something is true, or you know that what you're watching is what you're supposed to be watching, or when you have an intuition about something that you just do not guess, you just act upon it, and it's always right, and you don't even maybe take note of that intuition being right because it just felt so true, right? So that is evidence of an active 8th chakra in that moment. The 8th chakra has an understanding that you must be in your highest form in order to serve the higher functioning of the universe as a whole. In order to sustain balance and order in the universe, you are a part of that universe. So your Soul Star Chakra is the part of you that extends from the universe, that it will always be guiding you into your highest form of service in the universe. So the universe knows how to take you, your gifts, your talents, your sensibility, and where to plug you in to sustain balance and order in the universe as a whole, right? Because you are an extension of that universe. So there's a place where you are most powerful, and the universe wants you there because it supports the collective organism of the universe as a whole, right? If one of us that extends from the universe is out of alignment and not in our power, it is not helpful to the universe as a whole. So I explain this because it's important to understand that your instincts are naturally guiding you into your most powerful self, because that is of service to the universe as a whole. From a completely selfless point of view, the universe wants you to be as powerful and as influential as you possibly can be. And having an activated 8th chakra will tune you into those instincts and those impulses better than anything else, right? So once that 8th chakra is activated, you will know, right, where the universe is pulling you and guiding you. And it's not necessarily very black and white, right? It's like very simple steps along the way, right, that kind of make you feel like, okay, like, I don't know how this is helping, but you know what? I find myself releasing resistance. I find myself like just randomly wanting to go for a walk outside. I find myself just wanting to do some chores around the house for some reason today. I don't know why. Doing the dishes just feels like the right thing to do right now, but I'm just going to do it. And what you'll find after doing the dishes or whatever you were guided to do in that moment is you've released resistance. So your Soul Star Chakra knows that healing is natural. Healing is actually inevitable because you are an extension of light itself. You are an extension of source energy. You are an extension of the universe. So we talked about different ways to keep the Soul Star Chakra activated. We talked about meditation. We talked about getting to know who you truly are. We talked about following your bliss, being in tune with your emotions and following that instinct. Okay, we talked about understanding the ego, right? We talked about breath work, right, as well, which is another form of really meditation, you could say. And of course, another way to activate the Soul Star Chakra is through light language. And that is one of the purposes of this video, is to activate the Soul Star Chakra through light language. So you can do this with your own light language, or you can use this frequency that I will be channeling, okay? So if you're not familiar with light language, okay, we live in a universe of infinite energy and frequency, right? And what happens when you sync up with source energy, right? You are tuned into a stream of light, and as that light passes through your brain translates the content of that light into these words or different forms of expression or dance or singing. Whatever it might be, it will always be a very pure form. Now, when you meditate on this, you learn the subtleties, you learn the nuance of these different frequencies in a way that helps you to articulate them. And what happens when you go even deeper with that is you will start to detect different frequencies, different languages, different messages from your spirit guides, right? So you'll start tuning into them, and you'll develop different techniques to self-heal. This is natural. So most people will just do this in meditation and they'll come out feeling very good, and it's because they were doing energy work on themselves. So when we talk about light language, right, we are talking about specific frequencies from other galaxies, higher intelligence, that know how to install specific codes or activate codes already within you, knowings and consciousness within you, that will help you raise your vibrational frequency, because it is inviting a higher frequency to your field, as well as helping you to have the consciousness to sustain that as well. So light language can be specified in so many different ways. You can use it to assist in any kind of way, and one of the most effective ways of doing this is through activating of chakras. So I have one that I did maybe 7 years ago here on YouTube. It was one of my first videos for light language, when nobody was doing light language on YouTube. It was just me and doing these things that people thought was just speaking in tongues. So light language is one of the most effective ways of opening chakras specifically. And I actually have another video, third eye activation, where I channeled light language. And I will be doing more of these for different chakras. I held a poll the other day and you guys said that you wanted to do the Soul Star Chakra first. So this is the one that we will be channeling now, okay? So I wanted to brief you all in just understanding of this particular chakra before we go into the light language, okay? So again, the Soul Star Chakra is your intuition. It is the part of you that knows when there is someone or something to trust versus someone or something to not trust. That is the part of you that has faith and inner knowing, truth, self-awareness. Lastly, before I begin this light language transmission, the Soul Star Chakra is one of the features in your auric field that responds to you being tuned into your own intuition. So you don't have to focus on a Soul Star Chakra in order to activate it. All you need to do is, focus on meditation, focus on self-awareness and consciousness and faith, right? Try not to mathematically apply techniques of healing on yourself. That's the ego's technique of healing, where there is that element of trust and faith and inner knowing. That is when that's when you are tuned into your 8th chakra. So without further ado, we are going to channel this light language frequency to activate the 8th chakra. So this is a Pleiadian transmission. One of my guides are saying, for those of you who do identify with prayer, prayer is also a way to activate the 8th chakra, because when someone is praying, there is a sense of trust that comes over you, okay? So that trust and that sort of surrender is very much a consciousness of the 8th chakra. So without further ado, I'm going to channel this light language transmission to activate the Soul Star Chakra. Okay. Anum asum ayowasun amuasatiniarax sianam awasatiniarecum asum fitinialiana alactum asun afikira fixiriana miatanasum aliakla asan seriala mirakan satini irik shotunum fikire ahanasa ioak filiana lium liaraxana uafakliana fidini sedianamuf vutan ulaktana sedianam Ulianam lira terixatunum efficitini liedexatunum uriamashum asictrianalax santunum iete nestetiniathan sum atunu afukutri arra satunum ieraxatunum ikikiana akukuria satarishutunum fukuma ayeras sansariera satunum uak asana iri chechena haram hatamna asu okuru usunum iok warum asatri riasandum Maluna Malia Clara Sayen Exatini Sirium Fufunia Wapafemi Fanam Papani Erexa Ani Ishi Kira Kikiana Uma Wapaterasa Satsunu Umukitrias Sin Serianam Wapapiana Batteria Sarum Filian Aliux Sin Seriana Maliak Santa Harashatsianam Fukfuni Mirias Satsanieratum Alienaxatini Eshatsinium Funderiana Maliaxun Aseria Hanasaram. It's a short but very, very potent and powerful light language transmission. We'll see if there's any other aspect of this remaining to go, but okay, this can assist in dream recall, lucid dreaming, astral travel, okay? Will help you heal very rapidly in sleep, during sleep, okay? But you may listen to this at any time, but they are saying to listen to this once a day, and so you may return to this and revisit this portion, this light language portion, or the whole video, right? But re-listening to these frequencies will help to sustain and continue to open and develop that 8th chakra, right? And the consciousness that comes with it. Remember, it's not just an object that floats over your head that we are trying to make bigger. It is about installing consciousness and growing as a soul. That is what sustains an 8th chakra. So you may return I would say for the next 2 to 3 weeks, but really they're not giving me a time frame on that because it is quite loose. It can be just for a couple days for some of you, it can be longer. You can return to this when you feel like your 8th chakra is weak and you feel like it needs strengthening, if you feel like your faith is dimming, if you feel like you are losing your trust in yourself or other people or in spirituality. Make sure you come back to this video and listen to this. And they are saying there is coding as well in the part where I'm explaining about this as well. So there are frequencies there. It's not just the light language. That is something to cap off this whole transmission experience. Alrighty guys, sending you all immense love and support in your spiritual journeys and adventures and healings and empowerments. Sending you all so much love. Take care. Bye-bye.